Welcome to the State of the Game. Doesn't matter if it's AYF, SYFL, AAU, PCC. If it's youth football, we're going to talk about it. Welcome to the State of the Game. They said I couldn't do it. They said I'd never pull it off. Now they're watching my live. Welcome to the State of the Game. What's going on? Thank you guys for checking in. It's been a long time. I am very, very excited. We have action. We have the opportunity to interview one of the best coaches in the nation, one of the best coaches in America tonight, and he's going to just basically bless us with his knowledge and his experience in a time where we haven't had much action, not much sports. We now actually get to smile and reminisce on what it was like to play football. So this evening we have MacK, president and head coach for the Miami Garden Ravens, five-time national champ, played at the University of Miami as a linebacker, been coaching for 12 years, and he's just an absolute fucking blessing to be able to know and learn from. So Rod, you there, buddy?
I'm here.
Brother Rod, how are you,
I'm here.
man?
I'm good.
Man,
How
can
you
you hear
doing,
me?
bro?
Man,
Yeah, I
I'm
can hear you
very,
fine.
very
Can you hear?
happy and I can hear you, bro. I'm very happy. I'm very blessed that you blessed us with your presence and to be able to come on here and pick your brain about a couple things, man. So I just want to say thank you.
No problem, man. Anything, anytime, man. I enjoy talking football, and Cali always showed me love anytime I've been there, and always show support. So, um,
When you gonna
anytime,
come back out here and beat the hell out of Al and some dominoes again?
man. I don't want to beat the old man again, man.
Al's
I don't
gonna
want
be
to
so
do it
mad at
to
me, bro. Al's gonna be so
him.
mad at me for
but
that shit.
so,
All right, man.
but
Let's just
so,
start out with the intro. Let's start out with the intro about you. You've been coaching for 12 years, won 5 national championships. You played at the University of
hmm
Miami as a linebacker. You're married. You have
hmm
4 boys and 1 girl. Your boys play
hmm
football? They do?
yeah.
I know you. I know one
Well,
of them.
well,
I know one of them. He played.
yeah. Played on the purple machine.
Okay. Okay.
And so,
Got you.
yeah,
And how was
my
your
oldest
experience?
doesn't play
Go ahead.
football.
How was your experience at the University of Miami, or what you would call the U?
Um, it was great, man. I was there probably. I saw the the whole spin of it. So when I went there, my senior year, they played for the national championship and lost to Nebraska in the national championship. My senior year in high school, so I went there right after they played for the national championship. My freshman year, we went on probation and wasn't able to compete in bowl games for a couple of years. And I was there part of the help rebuild to some of the great teams that you saw. I played with Ray Lewis, Edrin James, Ed Reed, Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, Santana. I
Damn.
mean, you name the list. The list. Our practices, the guys, Clem Portis, all of us was there together.
Wow, man. That's phenomenal, bro. I wanted to ask you, man, and
Yep.
it's taken me 2 years, man. It's taken me 2 years to get this interview, so I'm gonna ask all the crazy questions I can. Um,
Go ahead.
Talk to me about the culture of South Florida football. Because when I first met you and I first saw your team, I honestly was like, whatever, it's probably just another team. We're gonna run through them here in Cali and we'll get back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And when I watched you guys play and I watched you guys coach and I watched your fans, bro, you guys do not
Mhm.
fuck around at all. So talk to me about the culture of football in South Miami. I'm sorry,
So I
South
think
Florida.
the South Florida, but I think the culture of football is there is no place that takes youth football as seriously as South Florida. Nowhere. So our kids are used to playing in pressure. They're used to playing in front of large crowds. Um, it's just nowhere like it. You have to experience the game. If you enjoy youth football or you consider yourself a youth football fan or a football fan in general, you have to come to a South Florida youth football game. There's nothing like it. I mean, you can come to a game and um, all the pros are there on their off weeks. Teddy Bridgewater is at the game. Dalvin Cook could show up to the game. You name the guys in the pros, they're going to come to the youth football games on their bye weeks. Um, you come to a game, it's 4 or 5 thousand people at a youth football game, without a doubt.
Damn.
So it's nothing like it, and the pressure and the intensity of the rivalries of those games is you just can't compare it to anywhere else. It's always been that way. Um, Kids play football here very young, and it just it breeds that what you see, that the South Florida type athlete, the the swagger, the cockiness, or whatever you want to call it. It starts from youth football here.
Why do you think it's different? Because in my experience of watching teams all over the nation, I've seen a couple teams in Cali that are dogs. I've seen
Hmm.
a couple teams in Florida that are dogs. And when I say dogs, I mean kids like what you're talking about. Like when they go out there to play, they're not just out there having fun. They're out there to fuck you up. They're out there to teach you a lesson and embarrass you. Why do you think South Florida or Florida in general, because you guys have a lot of athletes coming out of that state on an annual basis, why do you think that is?
Um, I think part of it, obviously, people may say the weather. California has beautiful weather as well, so we could play football a lot here. I think one of the things that helps is because at a very young age, football is taken very seriously here at a very young age. Whether it's good or bad, I can't speak to that, but I can tell you when our kids are playing from youth football coming up, it we it's not just we out there to a recreational thing. It's not just for fun. It's serious at a very young age, and we we teach of physical brand of football here. So it's very very physical from a very young age. It's taught that way, and the crowd, you just get used to playing in crowds with a lot of people around. From 4 or 5 years old, you can go to a youth football game and it's very, very intense. So I think that pressure cooker just breeds talent. And now at this point, we just have so many guys that have played football at high levels that now they all coming back and they're giving back, and so now the knowledge um, is catching up with the our athletic ability, and it's really catapulting what you're seeing in out of our athletes.
Now, people hear Miami, Miami Garden Ravens, and unless you've been to Miami or Miami Gardens, you may not know the difference. But Some people seem to think Miami Gardens is South Beach. Would you agree with that?
If you're not from here, you probably would think it. It's definitely not South Beach. So we
I
definitely
mean,
not South Beach.
it's tough. It's tough in
Go
that
ahead.
neighborhood, right? And it's tough in that area.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely the inner city. It's definitely a It is not South Beach. It is not um, palm trees and sandy beaches. That's not where we're from. Uh, so it's one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about it. Why I go back and coach. I grew up in that community, so a lot of talent always. I grew up, as a matter of fact. So I lived on one block, Santana Moss lived the block over. Samari Rowe, who played in the NFL, lived the block over. Andre Johnson is from that neighborhood. The list of pros that are from my area just goes on and on. But it's not a definitely not the suburbs.
Yeah, that I mean, like I said when I was speaking to you before earlier, I mean, it's just there's something about that area where you guys produce some of the best athletes with the lowest population. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
coming out of that
hmm
one area of South
hmm
Florida or North Miami, just the
Yep.
number of the phenomenal athletes that come out of there. It's just I don't know if it's in the water or what's going on, man. How do you
Yeah.
talk to me about similarities or differences when you run into these Cali teams or you run into these Virginia teams or maybe these Texas teams? Do you see any similarities or difference, or are you guys just more concerned about your style of football? You're not really worried about what anyone else is doing.
No, no. I think that's the blessing of where youth football is going now. We had opportunity, and because we played so many national games, I had an opportunity to see the way football is played differently in different regions of the country, and you can see it when you play against the different teams. Um, California definitely have athletes, um, and I think I saw two different styles of California football as well, from playing the pilots, and just the makeup of that team was very very physical and disciplined. So they played a very physical style of football and discipline. Playing the White House team, I think they played a more athletic game of football. Um, but I
Not so
think
much
the
ground and
way
pound.
no, 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 definitely not that. I don't want to say it was a finesse brand of football because they ran the ball pretty well, but it was based more on speed and athletic ability, which for us we see that all the time. I think the biggest difference between if I'm comparing California to Southern football, maybe not just Florida, but Florida, Georgia, probably Alabama, those areas. I think the first thing that we teach our kids is, I think the first thing you guys probably teach in football there is how to catch and throw and that type of stuff. The first thing we teach our kids is how to hit. So it's a different brand of football. We play a more physical brand of football. I'm not gonna say our kids are are tougher. We just play a tougher brand of football. We don't really throw the ball like that very early. It's more of just a real tough, hard nosed, basic form of football. Old SEC type football, I guess, is what we play here. And so that's the
Gotcha.
way it's taught at a very young age. So our kids grow up um, not minding the physical aspect of the game as opposed to some other places. I don't think the West Coast play that type of football, but you guys obviously can throw the ball better. Your receivers are polished, and you play just a different brand of football than us. I'm not saying which one is good or bad, but it's just different.
Absolutely. And I find that interesting that you said that because I was thinking out here in Cali, we have different brands of football, like you said. Like White House plays a different brand of football than the Pilots. They're all football players,
hmm
but it's just a different coaching scheme, different brand. But see, I was going to ask you about like in Florida, do they have holdback academies? Do they have training facilities? Like out here, a lot of these
Fuck no.
kids, um,
No,
Yeah, no, no.
no,
I want to ask you.
no.
I know the
Yeah,
answer, but I want you to touch on it.
yeah.
You know, out here we have training facilities where kids as young as 7, 8 years old are training on proper footwork for lineman stances, proper receiver footwork, and hands and eye coordination, and all the way up through high school. And then also we have a huge holdback population out here. How does that fit into what you guys do out there? Do you guys do that kind of stuff, or is it just fuck you? We're gonna see you in the
No.
backyard and beat your ass?
I think that from a technical standpoint, here in South Florida, we produce a lot of defensive backs. We produce a lot of running backs. We produce a lot of receivers. Um, and at one point, we produced a lot of linebackers. So from there, we coach the game, and we have a lot of experience in that area. But because of we just started unlimited football just a few years ago. When Flo Rida bought the team out to California, we wasn't even doing unlimited football then. So for that reason, we never really produced a lot of interior guys. It's not a lot of interior guys that come from South Florida, so it's not a lot of guys that can teach that. We're getting better at that area of the game. Um, but now
Where
we
did you
are
get your
kicking.
offensive and defensive line from then? Because those boys are not small.
Those kids are the first group of kids that never got on the scale here. So my kids, the kids I have that were 13 years old, that was the first group of kids that never got on the scale. So from the time they was 8 years old, they played unlimited weight football. So that's what 5 years we've been doing it. So those kids are the first group of kids that's never got on the scale. But all the other ages before that, those kids at one point in time would play weighted football.
Had to weigh up. Had to weigh up. And
Yeah, we had to weigh in that time.
Cap, touching on that, you won the national championship last year at 13U. What are your plans
Hmm.
for this year when we have a season? I don't say if, I always say when, because we will get a
When
season
yeah,
sometime, someday. What are your plans as far as coaching? I believe you said you were going to go back down and start over.
yeah, I want to go back down and get a smaller team. I enjoy that, man. I enjoy building a team. I don't care. You know, I'm a football coach, man. I don't care about winning the. I'm not saying I don't care about winning or losing, but I don't mind losing a football game. It's not the end of the world. I like to build it. I like to put it together. I like to add pieces and watch the kids develop. So I wanted to do that instead of staying on 13 and maybe inheriting Lambeau, a team that's played for national championships. That wouldn't be any fun to me. That's a great team that's already there. I wanted to go and start over, get a team that lost maybe. I think my 8 year old team maybe lost 4 or 5 games last year. So I'm gonna go take that team and I'm gonna make them a national champion in the next couple of years.
I love it. I love it. I got to ask you, who is your
Yep.
favorite one or two coaches? And it could be anyone in the nation because you're a national
Yep.
team. Who's your favorite one or two
Mhm.
coaches to go to war with?
So the guys who I enjoy on this run the most, obviously, Coach AJ and the Pilots. So much respect for that team. They pushed us, man. They pushed us physically in the way that most people couldn't. The second time we played them, I think the first time we played them, they were so used to bullying people and people they just wasn't expecting what we. I think everybody underestimated
To
us
get
and
bullied.
wasn't.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
and
there.
that wasn't gonna happen. I think
Mm.
everybody thought that was gonna happen, and we knew that wasn't going to be possible. But the second time they played us and they were ready, they pushed us physically in the way, and they were scheme wise, schematically, they were on point. A hell of a coaching staff. Them, and I want to say for that reason, I think the way they prepared their team, the type of team they had, was very, very, very tough. It was a physical game for us to play. It was a difficult matchup. And also, Coach P from the Welcome All Panthers. I think that was a very tough matchup because they were so good. They had so many athletes on the field. It was amazing. But um, the way he could make his kids run through a brick wall for him, I think made that game a challenge. Those two to me were the most challenging games. And then obviously locally, we have the team that's right across the street from us, the Miami Garden Chiefs, who was also one of the best teams in the country. People just did never really got a chance to see them because we would beat them every year in the Super Bowl. But we we beat them by a point or a touchdown, like three of the last four times we played them. So it was always difficult games when we played them, and we would get the win and go on to represent South Florida. But um, they was very tough as well. So to me, those were the toughest teams that we played along this journey.
Appreciate it.
And
I wanted to ask you.
and
Go ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just didn't
No,
want
go
to
ahead,
leave
please.
out the last team we played. The team from Dallas that we played. They was had a really good team. I mean, all those teams we won and we just overwhelmed them,
Is that
and the
that's that
scores made don't
Wolverines
tell.
team?
Yeah, they had a lot of athletes, man. They had a lot of athletes.
Yeah.
Teams.
No,
I
I
think we
saw
were
a
just
couple
such
of
a
their
complete
studs.
team. Yeah, I think we were
Yeah.
just such a
No.
complete team that we could take advantage of whatever the other team's weakness was, and those teams for whatever reason may have had a weakness that we found, and we can exploit it in different areas because we were a complete team. Um, and that team, they had a lot of athletes, and but we were able to be more physical in the ground game with them.
So let me ask you this question. In the last, let's say 2 or 3 years, it's been coming for a while, but
Hmm.
in the last 2 or 3 years, it's gotten very, very visible to those that pay attention. You have teams like yours, the Ravens. You
Hmm.
got your WAP, you've got your White House, your Pilots, your OG Ducks, and you have a lot of
Hmm.
these teams that it seems to me are becoming almost more of travel ball teams, almost
Yeah.
more of it's separating itself from, okay, here's youth football, here's the good people in
Hmm.
youth football, and then you have your travel ball teams. Your
Yeah.
These are national championship teams. Do you see
National
or
team.
foresee in the future? Yes. Do you see or foresee in the future travel ball esque ass teams to where you like they almost don't play local schedules. They just go around the nation catching fades and
I
go about it like that.
I think that's almost possible now on some level, but from a financial standpoint, someone have to come together and figure out how to make that work. But you take over the last couple of years, we were pretty much. You take the OG Ducks, for instance. The OG Ducks. You take the Maryland Heat. You take the Miami Gardens Ravens. You take Welcome All Panthers. Those teams are pretty much travel teams, or they national teams that we played. No disrespect to our local schedules, but it was tune-up work to get started. Our season pretty much started in November, December. So we played to get ready for that time. We considered it a national schedule. So on some point, it's getting there now. I think when we came out to California a couple of years ago, people thought we were crazy. No one had ever done that before. Now you take this past year.
I
You know
was
what I'm
one
saying? When
of
we came to California,
them.
yeah, way to California, but now you look this past year because we did that. You had what, three or four, maybe five teams from the South come to California this year.
Yeah, man,
So
and I love it.
now,
I
not
love
now,
it.
yeah, and now you see us. Now you see us coming, and we almost there, man. With what you're doing, things like this, these groups, is making the football world small. So now I know kids in California by name. I've watched kids in California grow as football players from 19 years old now that I'm recognizing, knowing, and kids from here know kids from California. They play games and they talk on the phone. And, you know, that was unheard of five
That's
years ago,
true.
4 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's getting smaller and
No,
it's
that's
coming. I
true.
agree with you. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's
coming.
true. It is as big as this nation is, and as many thousands of young men or in Oregon that play football is a really small circle of the top dogs that are national every year, back to back to back, and we kind of all know each
Hmm.
other. So yeah, I agree with
Yep.
you on that. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, COVID.
Hmm.
I want to hear your thoughts on, what's going on, what the temperature is down there in South Florida. I'm sure it's a little bit different than the temperature here in California. How it's affecting you or your team, maybe your recruiting, and what your thoughts are looking forward into this season.
I think first of all, the way it's affected me as a coach. I have a new team, so I have kids that I've never coached before. Kids, I was coaching 13, it was 8, so I didn't get an opportunity to really even study them like that. Um, and so this is my time. This would be my time to get them and develop and try to work on them. So all that's out of the window. I have not had any contact that did anything with my team just because of what's going on in the world. I'm trying to respect it and take it as seriously as possible. So, it's affected me in that way. If you ask my opinion from a higher level, and I don't see, we will have football at some point, but I don't think that the youth football game will reappear until they figure out a way to put the professionals and the college kids back on the field. There is no
That makes
city,
sense.
there is no city that's going to step out there and say, you know what, I'm going to put 10-year-olds on the football field, and NFL doesn't think it's safe to put professional adults on the football field. You know what I mean? So until they have
No,
some type
absolutely.
of resolution in that way, just the city's not going to, they're not going to take the liability to do it. They just not going to accept that liability. So until that time comes, I think we just going to be sitting waiting. But that time is going to come. It's just too much money in the television revenue department, and just the amount of money that's made and distributed because of professional sports, and not just the athletes, the businesses and the venues and the hotels and everything that's tied to that. I think they're going to figure something out to make that happen, even if it's just for the television money. I think that's going to happen at some point, and then from there, then the discussion will happen as far as what can happen with high school and then youth football. That's my opinion.
You guys went through something down there not too long ago, but you guys
Yeah,
had
we
Zika
had.
down there with the mosquitoes, right?
Yeah,
Right?
we've been going through that, man. So yeah, we had Zinka, but this go back to, man. We had, when I was um, 11 years old. I go back that far, so long. That was many moons ago. But they had it was something called encephalitis. The same thing. It was a mosquito, a disease that was carried by mosquitoes, and it kind of shut South Florida down. But hell, we played football. They put long sleeve shirts and coats on everybody, and we played football. I'll never forget that. But yeah, so we played football then, and
Y'all was out there in ski suits.
yeah, we was out there basically in ski suits, and we played football.
Hey
We
man,
played
you
football.
either love it or you don't. You either love it or you don't. That's what it is. Um,
Yep.
all right, right now I wanted to bring up because a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't know this until maybe about a year ago. I knew you as a football
Mhm.
coach, and I knew you as a representative from South
Mhm.
Florida and Miami, but I didn't know that you were actually a financial advisor. I was unaware
Yeah.
that's your day job, I guess I would call it, and you work with a lot of
Yeah.
pros and professional athletes in
Yep.
basically giving them financial management skills. And we had a
Yep.
conversation one time where you were like, Sam, you would never believe some of the stuff that I see, some of the cycle. What I want to do right now is I want to shout out Bullet and Bailey, two of my favorite kids in the
Mhm.
nation. Bailey is phenomenal.
Mhm.
I think he's 7'5" right now. Bullet is like
6'1".
fucking ridiculous. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're
Mhm.
gonna cut to a commercial break, and we're gonna show
Mhm.
everybody watching Bullet's highlights, and then as soon as this highlight clip
Mhm.
is over, we're gonna come back, and I want to transition and caveat off of our prior
Mhm.
conversation to your experience in
Yep.
financial management and how it affects these young athletes.
Okay. Cool.
Is
All right.
that
Let's do it.
cool? All right, Al, go
Yeah, that's
ahead,
cool.
man.
Let's do it.
Hit him. James hands off Saber. Nobody home. Touchdown Ravens.
Number 9, Vincent Shavers Jr. for the Ravens.
Wheels out of it, looking for help. Here comes the pressure. It's taken down at the 41.
That actually, that wasn't Bullet. That was Shriver's. But you know what? It's okay.
Yeah,
Bullet gets all the love all the time
yeah,
anyway. So Shriver's is
yeah.
a killer too. So
I'm glad they showed that though. Like you said, Bullet is special, and but
yeah,
Vincent Shavers, he's another special kid, man. He broke his leg on 12U, broke his ankle the first game of the season on 12U, so he missed entire the whole season and came back like in the national championship run. And so a lot of people didn't get an opportunity to see how special he is. But the kid has always been, him and Buller has always been, mentioned as the top backs in South Florida in our area. He came over and joined the team, never complained, never asked for the ball, just accepted a role, and just like Buller to show him when he got in, he showed what he can do. So I'm just glad to see that come up there, man, and people get an opportunity to realize how special he is.
an absolute monster, man. To even be on a team like your team, as loaded as your team is with backs like Bullet,
Hmm.
for him to get out there and show that he got action too, man, that kid is
Yep.
nasty. That kid is nasty,
Yep.
bro.
Yep.
Nothing but blessings.
Hmm. Yep.
So let's
Yep.
cover this,
Thanks.
man. You're a financial advisor and you deal with
Hmm.
athletes that are going professional, and
Yep.
you've seen and been involved in a lot of stories. And there was something that you told me, and I have my notes here, but I just want to cut to the cycle. And we had a conversation one day, and I want to say it lasted for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And you blessed me with
Hmm.
some information that I never knew, man, about the cycle of these major contracts and these. Why do we see 80% of NFL players going broke? Why do we see, these major contracts, and then all of a sudden these young athletes, mostly minorities, have no money, nothing to show for it? Would you please bless us with that knowledge and Take as much time as you want, man.
I think I'm glad we kind of have this conversation. And you and I talked a long time on the phone. It was a while back, and I know we talked about a lot. But uh, in regards to the young athlete, I think we talked about it. Me explaining to you that I think it's more of it's just not an economic issue when it comes to kids that's from the inner city or kids who come from families that never really anything and now they run into all this money. It's just not an economic issue. It's a social economic issue. And so because their environment plays a large part in that and what happens with them. Um, a lot of times we have uh, we have a lot of family members to take care of, and people really don't understand. First of all, if you see that contract, these guys aren't getting all the money that you see in the contract. So if you say, okay, he signed for $15 million, he's not going to get all 15 million of those dollars. 15 million of those dollars, and then when you take, people don't understand the tax consequences on the contract. So if one of my clients, they sign, get a $20 million contract, they may bring home 10 million of those dollars, and people look at it and still think that's a lot of money. It's really not, when that money has to last in their entire lifetime. And the football career is over when you in your early 30s, and now you have to live a life. And most of these guys, they are, in my business and in my line of work, and everyone else that's working for a professional athlete, they only get paid if they keep their job. So a lot of them don't want to ruffle any feathers. They want to tell these kids the truth. The kids don't know any better. They letting them spend their money, sending them back to the communities that they come from, and just plucking the next one out. And that kid who was in the community, the first one who came and made it and got that money and blew it, he's too embarrassed or too ashamed to really tell what happened. So they're not sharing that knowledge to say, hey, these are the mistakes that I made. And uh, and so the cycle just continues. The next kid comes out and he makes the same mistakes, and a lot of times the family members, we are so guarded that we never seek advice. We never learn about what's going on, and so you get a lot of people who families who never had that kind of money, and now they get it, and everybody becomes an expert, and everybody becomes an expert with that child's money, and you just watch it go. I've seen just so many horror stories that kids bought mom a house, did try to do the right thing with it, but shortly after he's not in the game anymore, mom have to sell a house. They sell everything right back in the projects where they came from. I just seen it too many times, and it's unfortunate because it shouldn't be, but it's from just the lack of education, lack of financial education, not really understanding what to do with the money. And for the most part, from the financial side, people just getting these kids money, and you can try to invest it in a business or whatever. Everybody's saying invest, 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 um, which is good to grow the money. But when a lot of these kids don't understand what they're investing in and really understand, so it's just like building a, a a very expensive airplane, and that airplane is flying and it doesn't have any wheels on it. Nobody ever gave that airplane the landing gear. So all these guys, they flying a very expensive airplane and they got investments and everything, businesses in it, but they can't land. And and when it happens, they just crash, and it crash and burn. It happens over and over and over again, and it's unfortunate. I think one of the things that we have to do a better job at, and myself included, I never really did it because I coach, and I don't talk about what I do a lot because I just never wanted it to be um, to take away from me coaching youth football, which is my way of giving back to something that gave so much to me. So I never came into it to say, I work with professional athletes, because I never wanted it to seem for me as if I was doing this to try to get my next client. So I don't really talk about much what I do. Um, later on in life, when those conversations I may come, but youth football is a passion for me. It's something. It's my way of giving back. But myself and everyone included, we have to do a better job of educating these kids and educating ourselves. Really start to practice some financial literacy, which isn't out there. Just the basics of it, the basic things, and from budgeting things of like asset allocation, or asset protection, making sure you're not getting sued and losing all of your money from that way, because it happens. And so you just want to make sure that you try to start to introduce it to these kids, because if we can introduce it, it's not overwhelming to them when you 21 years old and you or you 20 years old, you play a college football season, and that season is over. The bowl game is in January, late December, and you go right to training and you train for pro day, and right after pro day the draft, and you get a check and you got these millions of dollars in the bank within 4 or 5 months, and you have no idea what to do with it but spend it. And it sends them into a lot of shock. So we have to do a better job of just educating these kids, because professional football, it does not behoove them to for these guys to do well with their money early on, because if they did, they can retire. Um, everyone, when these kids get money, everyone is out to take it from them. Everyone is trying to get a piece of it. So you have to educate them so a lot more of these kids can make them some money, do well with the money, and they don't have to play where they have to suffer from the CTE and the physical toll that football take on your body, because people don't realize that playing this game is going to beat your body up. And kids shouldn't have to play. You shouldn't have to play 20 years or 15 years. I mean, the passion for it may be there, but if you should get enough money out of this game that you can retire and do other things in your life and still live a long, healthy life.
And you were
So,
you were telling me when we spoke, you were speaking on the fact that these teams and these agents and these people, that are on top of these kids that are coming up, they want them to go broke.
yeah, I think with anything, man, I just if how do you keep them hustling? If they did well with their money, what would be the incentive to continue to play? For some of these guys, they out there and they chasing the check because they don't have any money. They blew it all, so now they out there and they hustling harder because they have to continue to try to make that money. But if you did well with your money, you have to do that. You can play that game, like I said, for a few years. You can do it. I think the system is designed for guys to spend their money and to have to be dependent on the game. You don't see a lot of tiki barbers. You don't see a lot of um, Barry Sanders. You don't see a lot of these guys that say, you know what, I did well, I can retire. I'm done with it. And you definitely don't see a lot of it from the Andrew Lucks. You don't see a lot of, and definitely people, minorities. You don't see a lot of minorities that have the opportunity to do that just because of what we're doing and the way we're spending our money.
Yeah, I think that's probably some of the best game that I've ever heard, man. Because before I had a conversation with you, I didn't really understand
Yep.
that aspect of it, and then looking into
Yep.
it from your perspective and the information that you gave me, it made perfect
Hmm.
sense. So I
Yep.
definitely appreciate that. Now,
Yeah. So.
last and not least, we got everything out
Hmm.
of you as far as football. We got everything out of you as far
Yep.
as financial advisor. Now, on the state of the game, we have a little thing
Hmm.
we was called the 2 minute drill. And at the end of my
Yep.
interviews, I ask you a series of questions. You have to answer off the top of your head as fast as possible,
Hmm.
and it's called the 2 minute drill.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Rod
ready.
Mack, are you a boobs or booty man?
Booty from the South.
Booty from the south. Can't go wrong. Steak or lobster?
Lobster. I don't eat meat.
Oh my God. Nikes or Adidas?
Nikes.
Okay. Long hair or short hair?
Short.
You look like your wife got short hair, huh? You didn't want to get in trouble tonight. Okay. Hot or cold weather? Hot or cold weather?
Hot weather. Hot. Any day of the
Hot
week.
weather?
Hot weather.
Okay.
Hmm.
Dominoes or spades?
I'm one of the best dominoes players in the country. You can ask Alan to attest to that, and everybody in California. So, dominoes. Thought I was from the
Al's
West
gonna be
Coast. They
so
thought I was from the
upset
West
when
Coast
he
the way I
sees this
came
live.
out there doing it. They thought I was from Cali the way I did it out there.
Coffee or juice?
Juice.
Okay. Defensive or offensive coaching?
Defensive coaches. I love defense.
Favorite rap artist?
Tupac Shakur.
I like it. I know you can't go wrong with that one.
Mhm.
BMW or Mercedes?
Mercedes.
Okay.
I've, I've driven
The
a
level of
Mercedes
football
since
you love
2000.
most. The level of football
Um,
you love the most. Youth, high school, college, or pro? You can only choose one.
college. College.
You like college? Okay.
Yep.
If you were able to learn a language just by snapping your fingers, just like that, what language would you learn?
Oh, that's a hard one, man. That's the hardest one. All the rest of them was easy, man. God damn it.
2 minute
I
drill,
would
get you.
say, yeah, that one is a hard one, man. I think I would say probably, probably French.
Fair enough. Kevin Hart or Dave Chappelle?
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle? Yeah, I agree with you on
Dave
that one.
Chappelle.
If you could snap your
That's
fingers and go anywhere in the world, just like that, where would it be?
California.
It's a good answer. So are you giving us like a preview? Are you trying to come out here and restart the Miami Garden Ravens out of LA or what's going on? Is this breaking news?
Man, man, I love LA. I like Cali, man. Just real quick. Hey, can I tell you a story real quick before you let me go?
Of course.
So, so I had some things happen here. Some things kind of with my program that kind of was tough on the program and was tragic. And so Coach AJ called me. He just so happened to call me. We talk often. He called me, and I think I heard it in my voice. I was down, and this was probably like on a Tuesday, maybe a Tuesday or Wednesday. Friday, I get a call like, "Hey, what's up, man? What's going on?" I said, "Where you at?" I said, "I'm home." Said I came to see you. He jumped on the plane just to come and check on me, man. That's we've developed a real friendship, man, and that's just Cali, real solid dude, man. He jumped on the plane, came all the way across the country because he heard I was he just heard it in my voice and just found I was just kind of dealing with some tough stuff with you football, and so
And that
just I
that,
just
that was
wanted to
Coach
share that
AJ?
story, man. Show the type of stand, yeah, Coach AJ, man, just trying to stand
Yeah.
up dude he is, man,
A lot of people
and
give me grief because I've always loved AJ. I loved how he coaches. I loved how he interacts with people. I love his passion for the culture and the way he treats people. And he's just he. I can see that he's a good dude. He's a truly good
yeah.
person. So I mean, that's blessed, bro. That's blessings.
Yeah, yeah, he came and just checked on me all the way from California, man, and just came and hung out with me for a couple of days, and just a real solid dude, man, and real didn't say much about it, wasn't taking pictures or anything. He just came, just showed up unannounced, man. Just said I wanted to just make sure you was good, and he came and checked on me, and just a real good dude, man.
That's what's up, bro. I mean, shout out to
So I
AJ.
just
Shout
wanted to
out to
share
the
that
pilot.
story.
Shout out to that relationship.
Yep,
100. Last
yeah,
question on the 2 minute drill. If you were to have another
yep,
child, would you want a boy or a girl?
definitely.
You
I had so many damn boys, man, but a girl, man, a girl. I don't want no more boys.
would want a
A
girl?
girl.
I don't have any girls. I
Yep,
only
I
have
want
one
a girl.
child, and it's a son. But I always wanted a girl.
Oh man, that's something different, man. A girl, you're a sucker for them. You ain't never been a sucker for a woman, man. Have a daughter, man. You're gonna be a sucker for. I can promise you
Yeah, I've heard. I've heard. Those are facts. Well,
that.
brother Rod, man,
Yep.
I wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for blessing me, the State of the Game, and the Aftermath group with our first live of 2020. I think we hit it out of the park. I think it was a dope experience being able to share with you and learn information and bounce ideas off of each
Mm-hmm.
other, man. And I just want to say
Yep.
thank you from the bottom of my heart.
All right, I appreciate it, man. It's dope, man. I like what you're doing, man, and keep the movement going and keep growing it. Let's keep supporting and highlighting these kids in a positive way. And anything I can always do to move the needle in that direction with you or anyone else that's doing positive things with the youth, whether it be in California, Florida, wherever, man. We got to try to save them and keep them going on the right path. I'm all for it at any time.
I appreciate you, brother. You take care and be safe.
All right, you too. Be safe. Talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, Ryan.
The main thing I like about football is the competing part. Like, make you be a man.
Under the Radar Sports Media, the hottest sport.
Welcome to the State of the Game.